Well, good morning, and thanks for joining me. A very windy and cold morning out here at the beach. Thanks for coming along. I don't know how long I'll be able to be out here because, like I say, it's cold and windy. I may wind up over at the dunes where it's a little less windy, but we'll see how it goes. You know, one of the things that's come up a couple of times in the comment section of my channel is people want me to tell my story. And, you know, I have to say, I've told my story many times in meetings, but as far as telling my story on this channel, I have not done that. I guess I've told bits and pieces of it. It's kind of hard not to, you know. See if this wind is any better up here. It's about the same. Anyway, you know, one of the things that I've certainly been thinking about recently is, you know, that topic of reaching your bottom. You know, how much pain can you handle? You know, how far do you want to go before you're willing to do something about your drinking? And that reminds me that I'm one of those who has multiple bottoms. You know, the seed was planted a long time ago, long before I ever got sober. And so I thought I'll incorporate the two into not just a portion of my story, but also the fact that it doesn't get better. It gets worse. You know, I like to talk about the consequences of my drinking because it was the consequences that gave me the willingness to get sober. I didn't want to get sober, but life was really sucking bad. And I wanted to do something about that, but it took me a long time to get to that point. So, you know, anybody listening to this that's considering quitting drinking or you're in early sobriety, I want you to take a look at the motive behind your sobriety. Why? Why are you getting sober? Are you getting sober because somebody wants you to? Are you getting sober for any other reason other than just to save your life? If you're getting sober for any reason other than just to save your life, you may not be done yet. And that's sad. The only reason that I'm saying that is because of what I've done in the past and the things that I allowed to happen in my life. So, anyway, I remember, you know, the very first time that I was introduced to recovery. I was married at the time and had my own business, and I would drink all day at my business, and then I'd come home and drink some more. Well, the wife that I had at that time came up with this plan to help me. She was going to help me get sober, I guess, and so she came up with a rule: no drinking in the house. Well, you know, what that did, I immediately thought to myself, well, if I ever get a DUI, it's going to be her fault because I can't drink at home. I got to drink out there, which puts me behind the wheel driving, drunk. Way to go, you know, it was all her fault. Never looking in the mirror at what changes need to take place. It was always somebody else that needed to change. It's never me. So anyway, that put me out there behind the wheel drinking. Now, let me just say, first of all, I've never had a DUI. So that was not the bottom that I hit. I was in a bar, and I kind of came to. And the guy sitting next to me, he says, "Here, man, this will pep you up." And he handed me about 4 or 5 little blue pills. I had no idea what they were. Looking back, I think I know now. But I popped those 5 pills, drank them down with the rest of my beer, and I got up and I walked out of the bar. Now, it's kind of hard to explain to you guys because you're not familiar with the area where I live, but there's a road, it's called River Road, and it's very, very windy, and it goes along the edge of the river. And that was the trip that I took home. That was on my way home. I lived near the river, so anyway, I was driving along. Now, to get a picture, in those days, it was very important that I looked cool. So, I had this big hopped-up 4-wheel drive Bronco and jet black with chrome shiny wheels on it and all this. Well, that's what I was driving down River Road. And those blue pills hit me on top of the booze that I'd been drinking. And I hit a tree. And I totaled the Bronco. I diamonded the frame. In other words, it was rectangular, and I turned it into a diamond, if that makes sense. Anyway, it was totaled. And, I was in a bad way because I owed money on that truck. It was insured, but, I'd been drinking. I didn't know what was going to happen. So it was kind of a bottom for me. It was like, oh man, I lost my beautiful truck. It's gone. So anyway, I got out of the truck and I walked the rest of the way home. Now, I left my truck wrapped around a tree. So, anytime I saw headlights coming, I'd duck behind the bushes or something because I didn't know if it was a cop looking for the driver of that truck or what. I managed to make it home and, immediately passed out. Well, when I came to in the morning or woke up, whatever, I thought about what had happened and realized that I was in a bad way, man. I was in a bad way. So I called my dad. My dad was already in recovery, and I thought, maybe he'll help me. Now, when I say help me, I meant to get another truck, not to get sober. I wasn't interested in getting sober. I was interested in getting another truck. But I knew that I might have to jump through a couple of hoops, I might have to go hit a couple of meetings or something like that just to appease him, and he'd help me get another truck. So that was the big plan. I said, "Dad, I wrecked my truck last night." And I was expecting him to go, "Oh, son, I'm sorry to hear that." No, that's not what he said. He said, "Okay, that's great." I'm like, "What?" Well, I understand where he was coming from. He's thinking, okay, there's your bottom right there. Maybe you'll get sober. Anyway, sure enough, I went to a few meetings. I stayed sober for about 6 weeks. And at that point, I came to my dad and I said, "Dad, I've been sober a long time now." 6 weeks. I said, "I've been sober a long time now. You think maybe you could help me get another truck?" He thought about it for a little while, and he said, "Yeah, I think I can help. I think I can help." He says, "Come by the house tomorrow, and I'll have a check for you." All right. So that's what I did. I came to the house the next day. He had a check for me, somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. I really don't remember how much it was. It was enough for a used vehicle, though, and it was one of those deals where he wouldn't let go of the check when I went to grab it. He says, "There's a catch." And I thought, I knew there would be. He says, no, don't take it the wrong way. He says, "The catch is, if you stay sober, you don't have to pay this money back. But if you drink, you've got to pay it back." Well, it took me a long time to pay that money back, because I certainly couldn't stay sober. There's no way. My motive for going into recovery was not to get sober. You see what I'm talking about? My motive was not to get sober. My motive was to get a truck. So once I got the truck, what do I need recovery for? You know, I'm not the only person in the world that's done that. There's a lot of people that do that. I see it all the time. Maybe it's not a truck. Maybe it's a wife. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's better health. They quit drinking just until that happens. I have to say, that is not the way to do recovery at all. The problem is that as bad as that was, it was nothing compared to what was coming. I went back out. And I have to say, the consequences of my drinking did not get better. They got progressively worse. So like I said before, if you're in early sobriety, or even if you've been sober for a while, examine your motives for being in recovery. It's important to know why you're in recovery. Are you in recovery to just save your own life? Are you in recovery because you absolutely want to stop drinking? Or are you in recovery because you need a truck or a job or a wife? If you're in recovery for the right reasons, I welcome you to recovery. It's fantastic. It's a way of life that is second to none. I encourage you to examine your motives for being in recovery, and hopefully you're here for the right reasons. So you guys live happy, joyous, and free, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye-bye. Hey, stay warm.